What is up, everyone? Rissa here with Culture Fuzz. Thank you so much for joining me back here on my channel. I'm just going on a little walk so I can film this intro for you guys. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit that bell notification and that subscribe button so you always get notified when I put up new content. On today's episode of Culture Fuzz Conversation, I am being joined by the amazing and talented and brilliant 60 East, rapper hip hop artist from the Inland Empire who has been doing the damn thing for more than 10 years. Most recently, he just finished throwing the THOP Fest, and oh my gosh, was it popping, was it cracking. This is an artist that you definitely need to pay attention to. You definitely need to pick up these gems that he's dropping. Pick up what he's putting down, y'all, because he's literally laying out the blueprint on what he did to get to where he is, who he's worked with, how he's gotten to them, how he's maintained those relationships. And as an independent artist, I don't see enough people utilizing and doing what it is that needs to be done to just be dope and like market yourself and put yourself out there. So you guys, make sure you check this out. I hope you guys enjoy it, and also leave a comment if you like the video. Make sure that you like it and keep the conversation going. Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section so we can join in. Enjoy, guys.
Busy schedule to sit down with me and talk about your career and your music. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm a little tired. Still getting rest from the festival and stuff, but I'm good.
Yeah, I can understand. By the way, the festival was amazing. It was such a good time. The vibes were like phenomenal. It was, man, congratulations on that success.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for coming out.
Oh my God, absolutely. I'm definitely going to be there for the next one, and I'm going to properly register as media. So, I'm still learning. I'm diving in deep to this blogging stuff. So I'm very, very honored to have you on the show.
Cool. Thank you. Glad to be here.
So real quick before we get started, just a little bit about my platform. I bridge the gap to people, places, products, and philosophies that are going to bring quality differences to people's lives. So I like to sit down with people and talk about the journey on how they got to where they are, the mindset that's necessary to develop to get to where you are. So we're just going to kind of dive right in.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right. So first things first, go ahead and introduce yourself to people who may not know who you are, what it is that you do.
My name is 60 East. I'm an independent hip hop artist from Ontario, California. Over the past few years, I've became the founder of the Happiness and Pursuit Festival. Been touring, releasing music for about 9 years now. Growing up, was part of like a hip hop family. I was street teaming for a record label early on, and I've been all around the industry. Played different roles, wore many hats.
Yeah, I was doing my homework on you. Full transparency, I did not know who you were before the THOP Fest, but once I figured, I'm the one that asks questions like who put this stuff together, paying attention to, little odds and ends. And once I found out that, you were the genius behind it, I was like, I have to know who this guy is. So I did my homework on you, and I am like blown away at all of that you've accomplished in your 9 years of being a rapper. So first things first, how did you come up with 60 East? How did that, what was the birth of that?
Well, I mean, just growing up, South Ontario, the 60 East Freeway, is the freeway that drives through here. And I grew up like right on the freeway. So it's like the freeway was like my backyard. And coming from like a graffiti background, we spent a lot of time on the freeway. And it just kind of caught on,
Yeah. So you have a graffiti background. So which came first, graffiti or rapping, or did it just kind of like all form together?
Actually, breakdancing came first. I was a b-boy, like around, maybe like first, second grade, I started breakdancing. And I was just like that kid that was breakdancing at lunch and at school and stuff. And from there, that kind of led into rhyming and stuff. And like getting into high school, I started getting more into graffiti, but I never considered myself like a graffiti artist. I just more hung out with a lot of graffiti artists, and I was always the rapper of the crew.
What drew you to that culture? What drew you to that atmosphere?
I mean, I think just growing up, like influenced by the music and just having older brother and older siblings that were into it. Like my older cousin was a b-boy, and then my older brother is a DJ and became a producer, and just being embedded in the culture at a young age.
So it's just in your blood, it's in your bones, it's just what you were born into. Yeah, I feel it. So do you still be pop locking some moves every now and again?
I hadn't been up until recently. My daughter has like showed a lot of interest into breakdancing and hip hop dance class, and she'll ask me to show her how to break dance and stuff, so I'll get down and show her a couple moves.
That's so cool. But that's crazy how that comes full circle, huh?
Yeah, it is. I've been it's been really cool to watch and just see her like the day she woke up and was like, "Daddy, can you show me how to break dance?" I was just like, "Yeah, I was like, you are my kid."
Very cool. That's awesome. That's really awesome. So we're definitely keeping it in the family and all that stuff. That's very, very cool. So I was reading a lot about your bio, and I read that you dropped out of high school. Is that right?
Yeah. More like got kicked out. Dropped
out.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Can I ask like what happened? Like how? What happened there? If you.
I mean, I was just kind of like I don't know how to say this. More just like a knucklehead. I didn't really go to school. I didn't really go to school like that. I just never really went. I would always get in a lot of fights and stuff. I got kicked out of a lot of schools, bounced around a lot, and then yeah, when it was showing signs that I wasn't graduating, I was just like, all right, I just started working and like moving on from there. And once I figured out that I didn't necessarily need to graduate to try to go to like community college or whatever, I just started doing that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely can understand that, and it's a testament to, as long as you work hard, it doesn't matter how you get there. It's just you just get there. What was that process like? So when did you start? From that point, when did you decide that like rapping has made an influence in my life, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to fully pursue it?
So I was releasing projects and stuff throughout high school, and like I said, I was helping my brother's label, street teaming and stuff. But it wasn't until 2010 when I decided that like, okay, this is what I was going to do full time. And I was working construction around this time. And July 2010 is when my dad passed away from cancer. And the day he passed away, July 6th, and I want to say July 8th, I quit the job I was working at, and then I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna do this music thing, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make it. And I never looked back. Fast forward 9 years, and now I'm here.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I know it's been years, but a story like that really hits close to home. I have cancer survivors in my family, so definitely sorry to hear that. Can I ask, like, how did you get through something like that? For my listeners and for someone like me who's experienced, losing loved ones or having to go through that type of trauma, was, rapping something that helped you cope? Was that just kind of like, what, this is like the push that I needed? Like, how did you transition through that?
Yeah, I would definitely say it was the a push that I needed, because I had friends that have passed away prior to that, so I kind of been dealing with death at an early age. But at an earlier age, it was kind of like I was using that, and it was kind of taking me down a different road. It was taking me down a negative path, and I was just reacting to all these negative situations negatively. And then when it came down to my dad dying, it was kind of like, I'm tired of all the negative, and I'm just going to really use all this anger and all this frustration that I have towards this music thing. And people always, when they meet me, one of the first things they'll say is that I'm self-motivated, I'm a driven person. And that definitely started from my dad's death, and using that to push me harder and make me work harder than ever, to make this thing happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing to hear. I know a lot of people get stuck in situations like that and don't understand how to channel that energy in a constructive way. So, to hear that coming from someone like you, I appreciate you being open about that. So, gosh, you've done so much. You've been on tour. You've been doing this for, you said, 9 years. When did you first start touring?
I started touring right away. I kind of got lucky. I got hooked up with a record label based out of Sacramento, like right away, like right when I started doing the music stuff serious. So right around 2000, late night 2009, early 2010, I started touring with the label First Dirt, and at first it was just like local regional tours, West Coast stuff, and then we started building a name and started branching out and seeing how far we can go. And in 2000, 2 years later, we ended up booking our first national tour, and I got to tour the whole United States. And then after that, we just started touring the States nonstop. And then around 2015, we made the jump to Europe and started touring Europe. And ever since then, I've just been touring the States and Europe like every year.
What kind of work does it take to build a tour and then eventually have it build that momentum to bring it overseas and become successful? Like what type of work does that take?
It's really a lot of consistency and branding, and I feel it just kind of finding your pocket or your niche audience and kind of just banging them over the head. And yeah, I mean, just consistency really helped with us in making those rounds. A lot of people tour and they'll just tour to tour and won't really make a plan out of it. Whereas us, we made sure every city that we hit, we would go back every 6 months and water those seeds that we planted and continue to grow that fan base that we started building every time we would go there. Because one person adds up 2 people, and those 2 people turn into 4, and the 4 turn into 8, and then every time we go back, we'll see an increase in ticket sales and people in the audience and stuff like that.
And you were doing this at a time when social media was not popping the way that it is right now, so how were you doing that and making those connections without, us spoiled ass kids right now? Like, we're doing everything through the social media stuff. And I realize how spoiled I am. And I'm talking to these OGs and they're like, but have you ever toured with a map though? And I'm like, what the fuck is a map? Right? So like, what was that like, making those connections and networking, back at a time when we did not have all of this?
I'm not that old. So like when I started coming into
you started touring like 9 years ago. Social media
so like,
was not this cracking.
Instagram wasn't around yet, but we had Facebook, and we really used Facebook at that time because Facebook was still kind of popping at that time. So I booked tours all through Facebook, and prior to that, like, my partners are a little older than me, so they came from the old school of like networking and getting people's numbers and lining stuff up like that. But yeah, I definitely didn't tour with the map. I know we didn't have the app on the phones yet, so we did have like a GPS. But yeah, I'm not old enough to have experienced the map life.
Yeah, no, not that. I know. I think we're around the same age, but like listening to stories about that, I'm like, I can't even like fathom doing that. But let alone like not having Instagram and Twitter and TikTok now, like just understanding how like influential all of this is, and like what's the biggest difference that you see from touring now to when you first started out? Like what's that gap like?
Oh yeah, now it's social media is kind of everything, even on like the back end. I mean, I feel like the goal is still to get emails at these shows, but you definitely want to leave with the Instagram followers and the Twitter followers every time, and like that's definitely a goal at every show. Is I try to leave with as many followers on every social media account as possible. And as far as the booking process, it just makes things so much easier because you could literally go to Facebook and tap in Milwaukee hip hop and something will pop up, and you can just go down the rabbit hole and find a promoter or a local artist and just kind of like play that card and let them know whether it's exchanging shows or just networking and just letting them know you're going to be touring through or whatever. It just really made the game a lot easier.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. I'm asking so many branding questions because I get really, really frustrated with a lot of my talented ass friends and peers who have quality music. They have the package, but it's 2019. They're not marketing themselves, and it's a really, really saturated market, a saturated industry. What is the worst thing that an independent artist today could be doing? Like is by not networking, by not taking advantage of that, is that a bad thing? What advice would you give to someone who's just like, okay, I put my music online. Go ahead, world.
It's sad, but that's something we see a lot of the time, and I see it from my experience, my more talented friends feel like they have to do less work because their music is that dope and they think they're that dope. Someone is just going to discover them. Whereas I have friends whose music isn't that great, but they're really working it, and they're able to accomplish so much more just because they put in that extra effort, and the extra work ethic really shows. And then
It's
yeah,
like, is it like
like
work hard beats talent when talent doesn't work hard? Like that quote like lives to be true. So
yeah,
I'm
most definitely.
yeah, no, I'm just like fascinated at everything that you've been doing, like the consistency of putting out your music. Like what is this question? How long? I don't know. I was watching your interview with Underground Hip Hop Blog like back in 2017, and you said something that really caught me. You said, this is not a business to take breaks. Momentum is one of the hardest things to build up or get back. Consistency is everything. How long did it take you to build the momentum that you have now?
I would say 9 years from the moment I started, but to be
Wow.
honest, I would even say even before that. I would say like in high school when I was running around releasing mixtapes and freestyling during lunch.
Wow.
I see my Facebook page, and to this day, there's people from that would follow me from high school and just not even being 60 each, just being like, oh, that's Joey. He's the rapper of the bunch, and just them following the journey until now and just seeing it, like that's a big part of my fan base and my support system. So I would say um from the very beginning, but really like banging the hammer, I would say the 9 years, and it's just every year touring, releasing music, releasing videos, making moves, and just keeping my name in the conversation.
How does one keep their name in the conversation, especially today? Again, everything is super saturated. Knowing that you have to have more touching points, you have to stay fresh in people's minds. What is your definition of consistency as an independent artist in 2019?
I would say staying busy, and I think every artist kind of finds a lane for themselves, or they don't, or they end up stopping and not finding the lane. But I feel for me, particularly touring has really helped me stay active and stay in front of people's faces. The festival over the past couple of years has opened a lot of doors for me, and I could just stay busy, just kind of work ethic, because I mean a lot of artists will give up year one, year two, year three, and it's
Why
kind
do
of
you
like
think they give up?
patience. This is a patience game, and a lot of, especially these days where people attention spans are so low and people just want everything to get handed to them right away.
Man.
To not a lot of people will stick around 10 years and take loss after loss after loss
Man.
and ride it out. And I feel the people that do are the people that are successful because they were able to stick around. And there's a quote that people always would tell me that they say the cream always rises to the top. And it always, like in the music game, it always stuck to me, like, when does that happen? Like, it doesn't happen right away. It happens over years and years and years, and the game kind of just weeds the weak out and weeds the people that aren't serious out. And I've been able to see that because 9 years ago there was a whole class of artists that I came in with that aren't around anymore, and those few of us that stuck around, I'm looking around and all of us are successful in our own right, in our own way, just because we were able to figure out our own lane and stuff like that.
And speaking of that, you kind of were around the same time with like Noah James and Curtis King and stuff like that, right? So, seeing that, how does that feel to see the ones that actually, made it through the weeding out process, and to see them actually creating their own community, setting their own lanes? How does that make you feel to see that coming out of the Inland Empire?
It's dope. I think it's amazing. Like, not even just in the Inland Empire, but I've been able to make friends like all around the country and the world for that matter, and just people that I've been coming up with and have seen where their careers have gone. I actually had a dope conversation with Curtis King at THOP Fest and we hadn't seen each other in a few years. We used to, play a lot of shows together. We came up together. And he told me like, yo, it's been crazy to watch your trajectory over the past couple years. And on my side, I'm like, man, it's been crazy to watch your trajectory and what you've been able
Yeah.
to do over the past
That's so
couple of years.
dope.
And every time I'm able to run into like one of my friends that I came in with, and I was doing these small shows with 10 people in the crowd with, and we just kind of look at each other and be like, you made it, and they're like, no,
Yeah.
you made it, and it's kind of like, man, well, we both kind of made it. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. I love to see my friends winning, especially the people that I feel deserve it, and the people that have been around putting in work. I like to see it pay off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That must be an amazing feeling to, have those peers, when they say, I'll see you at the top and y'all are really like on the other side,
Yeah.
it's just like, hey, that's a beautiful thing. That's really awesome. Have you ever lost the momentum at a point in time? Have you ever experienced, like stopping and just being like, oh shit, like, have you ever lost the momentum at any point?
Um, I think maybe it's hard for me to tell. I feel like I lose momentum all the time. Like I feel
I know
like
that feeling.
I mean, like the festival was just last weekend, but these past 5 days, even though I'm still like recapping the festival and doing interviews and stuff, I feel like, oh man, well, I'm not doing enough. Like, what's my next big project? What's the next big thing that I'm gonna do? And given I leave on tour on Tuesday, so this is a week in between a
Right.
big festival and a big tour, and I'm feeling like, dude, if I'm not doing nothing this week, like I'm falling off. But sometimes it takes you like falling back and looking at everything in the big picture and realizing like, oh, okay, it's okay to take this amount of time to work on the next project as long as you keep kind of just keep the socials active and just kind of let people know you're working. And I feel that's where we're at these days. Is kind of just like, even if you're working on the album and you don't have the album coming out, you can have tons of content coming out around what you're doing and just building. And that's kind of something I'm still learning, just because I'm not one of these people that just pulls my phone out every 2 seconds to do like, oh, I'm eating breakfast or I'm doing that. But yeah, that's what I gotta say.
Yeah, no worries. No, I appreciate that. So you were also talking about the difference between crowds compared to like Los Angeles and going overseas. You were talking about Europe a lot. And I thought what you said about, everyone in LA is an artist or a creative or something like that. So it was actually difficult to get people who are actual fans to those shows in Los Angeles. So can you explain to me what the difference in terms of, reception, in LA, in your local community compared to overseas? Because I feel like the cultures are just like night and day.
I think it might not even just be like a regional thing or a national thing anymore. I feel like it's kind of just like a hip hop thing, whereas a lot of the people that listen to hip hop make hip hop, and it kind of makes sense whether you're a producer or MC. But overseas it's kind of like, it's still like not very common that there's like a rapper, whereas out here it feels like I could walk outside and throw a rock and hit a rapper. It kind of just feels more organic, I would say, as far as people that are coming out to support the music, because a lot of the times they don't speak the language as good, or they don't understand it completely, but it's just the vibe and the beat and the flow, and that's what they connect to. And I feel like out here we are also a lot more biased, and we also have a lot more walls up, just because everything that goes on like within our country, whereas other places it's kind of like they're not looking at you like you're white or you're black or you're Mexican or you're Asian. It's like, oh, you're American, you're from the homeland of hip hop, like we can learn from you out here. And it's just not, there's a lot of segregations that aren't up.
Yeah, no, definitely. What has been your favorite country to tour at?
I wouldn't even say perform at, but I would just say my overall favorite country just that I've been able to visit because of hip hop would be Spain.
Spain, really?
Yeah, I may be biased because I'm Mexican and I can speak the language out there, so I kind of blend in. But
Yeah.
it just kind of like Barcelona just kind of has like a Venice / Santa Monica feel to me.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I Venice Santa Monica is my stomping ground. I went to high school at Venice High, so
Oh,
that's awesome. So I asked my followers, I told them that I was interviewing you, and I asked a couple of them if they had any questions. And I have Diesel, who's from the Dino. He wanted to know, that was one of his questions. What was your one of the favorite places to perform at outside of the U.S.? And also, which country has the best food?
oh man, there's tons of great food out there. I can't even think. I would probably say Spain too, though. Again,
Yeah.
I may be biased because I'm
What do they have?
Spanish.
Like the plátanos, like plantain. What do they got over there?
Yeah, they got tapas. They got this I can't think of this specific plate. Oh, their specific plate is called the padilla, where it's like rice and all like the kinds of stuff in there. That's good. It's cool because like my DJ overseas, he's a chef. He's from the UK and he's a chef, so his nickname is DJ Recipe.
Nice.
And he always usually does like the restaurant picking out, and wherever we go, he already has a list of like things that he wants to eat at and stuff like that.
Hey,
So it
yo,
helps out a lot. Yeah, I've
that's
had
an
great
important
food
friend to
everywhere.
have.
Yeah,
That's what's up. I'm trying to see if you had any other question. So, what advice would you give to an artist if they wanted to start looking into performing out of the country? What would be a good place for someone to start?
I would say start looking into open mics. I would say like find a country that you want to tour and just like start looking up open mics and even pick a like a week or two and just go out there and rock all these open mics and try to meet as many people as you can. And once you open that door, it's just gonna lead to more doors.
Yeah.
Um, my
And
my
that,
first
go
my
ahead. I'm
first
sorry.
year my first European tour was a handful of open mics and a handful of shows that I was able to scrounge up, just reaching out to people and putting the word out that I was going to be there. Luckily, I had a small fan base out there that was like, okay, you could call this person and call that person. And I was able to book like 3 or 4 regular shows, and then I just filled in the rest of the dates with open mics. And rocking those open mics, sometimes I made more money than doing a regular show, or I sold more CDs, or I sold more merch, or I met, a person that led to another show or whatever it may be. But I would definitely say just getting out there and opening those doors for yourself.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. How many open mics do you think you've probably rocked in your lifetime so far?
Wow.
I want people to gain a perspective. Like,
Yeah. I mean, in the early years, I was doing every open mic I could find. I would say maybe like 100. But yeah, again, like my early year, I forgot what rule I had set. Oh, I think I had wanted to do 100 shows in a year or something like that.
wow.
And yeah, that open mics really helped a lot with that.
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine, you have that like it's more personal. You have that one-on-one. You get to like network and like talk to people and create those authentic, genuine connections. Because, I tell people all the time, and I'm sure you understand with branding, it's like, yo, like, sorry, I love you, but you're just another artist. Like, you're just another rapper. You're just another musician. But branding is all about who you are and how you connect. Like, give these people a reason to fuck with you. Like, why should they listen to you over the other guy, who's probably doing the same thing? So, did you feel that those one-on-one personal connections is what created the loyalties, what created those genuine fans and that following for you?
Yeah, I would there's a saying that we say, one fan a day keeps the job away.
Hey.
And like every show, if you can, it doesn't matter. As long as you leave with one fan, then you did your job. And that one person, as long as you build that one relationship per show or per city, whatever it may be, makes it worth it because that one person is gonna help share your music. And especially in the day and age where we're so connected and you seeing these people before, it would just be like you see these people once every 6 months whenever you're touring through the city, but now it's like you're seeing them every day on Instagram and Facebook, and they're engaging with you every day. And a lot of these people become your friends.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, you know, we'll go to a city, and based off the relationship that we have, people will let you sleep at their house, or offer to like take you out to dinner, cook you dinner or whatever. They're the ones coming in your show, rounding up all their friends, telling them you're coming to their town, and they really kind of become like your street team in that city. So yeah, that personal engagement is everything. And the thing about open mics is I feel like the people there are a lot more open-minded, whereas if you go to a hip-hop or a rap showcase, again, it might just be a bunch of rappers that are like, yo, I rap better than this dude. Whereas open mic, it just, the setting is kind of like we're all here to express our art and be open-minded to everybody else's art. It's just walking through the door, it's a different vibe, and it's just more welcoming.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. I know there's a almost a dramatic difference between a hip hop show and an open mic. It's less guarded, it's more vulnerable. People understand that, you know, people are wearing their heart on the sleeve. Like it's more kind of like a intimate setting. So yeah, I can definitely see how it's easier to connect with people in a less guarded setting. And hip hop seems to be more adrenaline driven and just kind of like, you know, showing out and stuff like that. So that's an excellent point. So let me see. This other thing that interests me, when you got Merz's attention. So in 2013, after a long campaign to get his attention, Merz selected you and your crew to perform at the 8th annual Paid Dues Festival, winning the campaign slot. You got to perform with Kendrick Lamar, Macklemore. What did you do for an entire year to finally get Merz's attention?
We bugged them. We toured around the country. We got over 500 pictures of people holding up our posters saying first there for Paid Dues. We got over 200 video drops of people saying, yo, we want to see these guys on Paid Dues, and even giving the reasons why. We had all our fans spam him on Twitter, on Instagram. And this is when Instagram was like first starting to pop. So we were like super early on that, and like spamming all their festival pages and stuff. Every time Merz had a show in Southern California or on the East Coast or anywhere that we had people, we would send people to his show, and they would hold up posters during his set and stuff, or they would like hit him up after the meet and greet and tell him that they want to see us on the bill. And yeah, we just stayed in front of his face for a whole year.
That's what's up. I'm not taking no for an answer. If there's not a door, I'm creating the door. Like, it was, you had your mind set on it. Is that what you would advise someone who's, you know, trying to get on something like Paid Dues or trying to get on something like THOP Fest? Because I can definitely see that super taking off. It's only like 2 years old, right?
This was our third year.
It's third year, and I'm just like, it's only 3 years old. Like, this is crazy. Like, the turnout was so good, you know? So I already knew, like, I'm like, yo, this is about to take off. What do you look for in an artist when you're booking for a festival like Paid Dues or like your festival?
Just because I'm the one that's going to be getting spammed, I wouldn't recommend that artists do that. But I definitely recognize the hustle. And like when I see artists telling me like, oh, I deserve to be on this bill, I'm like, you must not know who I am because you don't know what I did to get on the festival.
Right.
And I'm not, you know, so I know exactly what it takes. So whenever an artist comes at me like that, I'm like, nah, bro, that ain't it. But these days, like, I definitely look if I like their music. If I'm a fan of you, based off just me coming across your music, that's 1,000 times better than you coming up to me trying to give me a mixtape. I definitely like traction, and you don't have to have necessarily the biggest fan base, but as long as I see you got some momentum and this isn't your first show, and that you have some experience and that you're putting in your work and building a fan base, I'll be open to booking you.
Okay. All right. You hear that, audience? So you went on tour. Where's my note on that? So you went on tour as... Hold on, sorry, I'm trying to find my note. Where is it? Okay, so you went on tour as tour support for some of hip-hop's best, including Joell Ortiz, R.A. the Rugged Man and Termanology. First of all, what is tour support?
Tour support is when you get picked up to open for a bigger act on one of their tours.
Okay, got it. What did you learn from touring with, you know, some of hip hop's heaviest hitters?
Really, I learned everything just from being professional to just how to conduct myself on the road, how to stay healthy on the road, how to sell merchandise, how to deal with fans, routing. Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just pretty much everything. I definitely take notes on everything and every artist that I've gotten to tour with on just how they handle business and how they've been able to be successful this long. And for those artists that have been successful for a long time being a touring artist, there's a lot of consistencies that you see, from professionalism to how they handle themselves at a venue to their
Right.
to their overall reputation in the industry.
Right, right. What stood out to me, what you said about that, is like you being healthy while you're on tour. You know, like I'm a huge advocate for self-care, mental health, and stuff like that, and knowing uh, how physically demanding and even mentally demanding it can be to be on tour. You know, to be on the road. What are some tips, or what did you learn about taking care of yourself?
It's real easy to eat bad on tour because everything is just so fast, all the fast food and stuff like that. So I learned this early just because of all those tours that we would do early on, driving up and down the coast. We would always stop at Jack in the Box or McDonald's. And then one day we were like, you know what, man, let's just stop at the grocery store, get a bag of carrots and a bag of oranges, and like we'll eat this on the way up instead of these, cheeseburgers or whatever. And that became a habit. Emergencies, the little packet emergencies, vitamin
Oh
C,
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
staying because every night, staying up late, shaking hands, meeting people, drinking, not sleeping, it all starts to catch up with you and takes effect on your voice and all that stuff. So getting proper sleep also is a big one. I've learned to sleep anywhere, like even if it's a taxi ride from the show to the hotel,
Yeah.
which is like, extra 20 minutes, those 20 minutes add up.
Oh boy, yes, yes. I know those car naps well. Yeah, I'm a big advocate for power naps. I think like they make the biggest difference. Um, how did winning that slot for paid dues, how did that change your career?
Oh, it opened so many doors for me. Just it really put me on the national map. Especially at this time in 2013 was like the peak of pay dues, and Burrs had kind of built up pay dues to a point where if you make it onto pay dues, you're kind of like one of the you're like next. You're one of the people that like the industry's got their eyes on and stuff. So as soon as we made it on there, we had record labels, we had fans, we just had a lot of people reaching out like, yo, we see what you guys are doing. Getting on paid dues proves that you guys are doing what you're supposed to be doing. And a lot of press, a lot of just people that weren't reaching out before had made themselves aware of us. And performing at the show and just having a huge fan base there that day, we got exposed to 30,000 people. And
Wow.
to this day, I'll still come across people that know me because of that show, or came across our brand because of that show.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Um, what advice would you give to young artists, artists that feel stuck, artists that are just kind of starting out? What advice would you give them to get the most out of their career?
Make a plan. Know what you want out of everything. I found myself in that situation plenty of times just because I didn't know what I wanted out of everything. But once I started making a checklist, like, oh, I want to accomplish this or I want to accomplish that, and I started checking things off the list, I started feeling a lot more fulfilled. And nobody is gonna tell you what you want. Like, especially being an artist, we all want to accomplish different things. Some people want a Grammy, some people want to be in movies, some people want to tour the world. Like, whatever your specific goal is, I would just say to write them down and start getting as close to them as possible, because in this game it's really easy to get taken in 100 different directions just because how fast everything moves. And I've met so many PR people or A&Rs or whatever that started as artists, but their career or just the universe or whatever moved them this way, and it just took a sudden change and everything changed. And I feel if you don't have a specific list of things that you want to do from the jump, then you'll just kind of be open to whatever comes your way.
What happened in your career when you learned that lesson where you're just like, oh shit, I should probably have like a concrete plan because now I want to make this move, I have to make these concrete steps to get there. What moment happened in your career where you're just like, that's what I got to do?
Maybe like right around after pay dues, it was just kind of like we had a meeting and we were like, dude, what are we gonna do from here, and what are we gonna do with this? And we kind of made a plan. And given I was still in a group at this time, so the group's plan was different from mine. But that kind of made me realize that for everything, even for every possibility, that whether we got on paid dues or not, there should have been a plan in place, whether for when we got on or if we didn't get on, there was something that we already knew we were going to do and use all the momentum that we had built for elsewhere. And yeah, I would just say planning is everything. If you fail to plan to fail.
Yeah, no, that's real. I learned that the hard way myself. With Culture Fuzz, with my platform, only recently have I started writing down like, okay, let me take these bite-sized pieces and, go from there. Cause I think we all scare ourselves. Like we all have this movie montage in our head. We all have this idea of who we want to be. And then we have social media and we're comparing ourselves. We see people like you, we see all these influencers, but what people don't understand, and I have to remind myself, I'm like, yo, you've been doing this for 9 years, 100 open mics, tour support, like flooding Merz's Instagram account. Like, it's so important for people to realize and understand the reality of the situation, like myself included. You got to deal with what's in front of you. And the moment I sat down and just started planning, everything literally changed overnight. And I was like, oh crap, like booking interviews, gaining momentum, figuring out like, this is the outcome that I want to get with this. So I definitely feel you on, yeah, if you don't have a plan, you feel lost. You feel kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, like no one's fucking with me. But yeah, that making a plan is the biggest fucking difference. Do you believe in networking in person is better than networking through social media?
Yes, I do. They always say press the flesh, and just that human interaction, just that conversation, and just that exchange of energy and connection that you can't get via social media. I've sent 1,000. Hey, how's it going? I'm 60.
Hey.
Would love to do business with you, and it's never the same as if I meet someone at a show or for lunch or whatever, shake their hand, have a beer with them or whatever it may be, and just that chemistry, I guess, you know what I mean? Because just when you get to meet in person, you have a story, and it's like, oh, remember that time, versus, oh, you're just another DM.
Yeah, no, for sure. I had a follow up to that. What's it called? Do you feel that human connection is kind of like missing nowadays?
I do, just because it's so easy to get, it's so convenient too, just for social media and texting and stuff like that. Whereas when you actually get to sit down with somebody, it's a little different.
Yeah. Do you find that people are kind of like socially awkward, or like they don't know how to like make eye contact, or do you come across that a lot?
Yeah, me. I'm socially. I'm like,
Okay,
I'm
me
so
too. I don't feel guilty.
Yeah, like I'm so artists in particular, we're all weirdos, and I feel like it attests to just all that alone time in the studio and digging into yourself and not being around a lot of people. Someone recently called it the water cooler effect, whereas like quote unquote regular people are around people every day at their jobs or at schools or whatever, and they'll socialize with people at the water cooler every day, and it's just a normal thing. Whereas artists, people that spend a lot of time by themselves and secluded, when we come out in public, it's weird, and yeah, I definitely suffer from that.
Okay, I don't feel as bad because I'm kind of getting like my feet wet again, and just kind of like, this is not my first rodeo with doing a blog. I had a podcast in the past, but life happens, trauma happens, was depressed for a second. And I just now am branching out again. And this past Saturday, I was like, wow, I'm awkward as fuck. Like, I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to enter into conversations, so I understand it's like a muscle. You got to flex it. You got to keep practicing and putting yourself out there. So what do you do to help you like get past that like awkwardness?
Drink.
Hey, I'm not mad at that. Hey, sometimes I take a couple shots of tequila myself. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more social after a drink.
For sure.
Yeah, that's definitely it.
Hey, I'm half Mexican. I know what it is. It makes it easier. But I know, like with me, like I'm like I feel like there is just no other non-awkward way. Like it's just, hey, like like icebreaker. But hey, cheers to that. I have a question from another artist that I interviewed. He's an R&B singer from Mexico. Ian Guerin, shout out Ian Guerin. He's looking to tour as well, but he wanted to know, how did you ever like balance a full-time job like while you were touring?
Not really, just because
Okay.
early on, I had quit my job. Just when I decided I was gonna do music full time, I was like, you know what, I can't do both. So I would pick up side jobs and side hustles and stuff like that, just because I had to keep money coming in. But as far as a full time job, no. But I was a full time student at the time when I first started, and just like my partner was he had a full time job, so there would be times where I'd be at school, we'll say, I don't know, 7 to 3, and he'd be at work 7 to 3 or whatever, and we would get out in LA, drive to Sacramento 6 hours, get to the show at 10 o'clock, perform, sign autographs, do all that till 2 in the morning, and then drive right back to LA and go straight to either school or work, looking like trash. But we would do that like a couple times a week, and that started turning into a couple times a month, and it just became a routine where like it was just kind of like, all right, what are we doing today? And it was just like, all right, as soon as priorities done, all right, let's hit the road. And we were able to do a lot. Like, there's a lot of places are within reachable times. We were doing Phoenix, Tucson, San Diego, Fresno. Pretty much if you were within 6 to 8 hours, we would drive there after work or whatever. Yeah, and just drive overnight. And that's really kind of how we built a reputation, because people we were living in LA and people thought we were from the Bay just because we were up there so much, and they were just like, nah, we're just back. We just put in the miles.
Wow. So it's just no glamorous way to do it. It's kind of like, it sounds to me like it's just all in. Like you have to make a choice. If this is what you want to do, you find a way to work around it. Yeah. What kind of odd jobs would you like pick up to help fund? Because that was another one of his questions. Like, how did you source funding for these tours? So like, what were some of the odd jobs that you would do?
Oh, I was all over Craigslist.
Oh my God, when Craigslist wasn't weird.
Yeah. Oh, it was still weird, but I mean, anything. Like I would find like random like a handyman jobs, passing out flyers. I mean, honestly, anything. I would just go. And it's like, if I could do that, I'd do it. And given this is before Uber and stuff like that, so now there's really no excuse, because there's 100. You could have Uber Eats, Uber, so many Turo, so many apps out there where you can just make money not doing nothing these days. It's really a lot easier.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, I Postmates my damn self when I need some gas money. So yeah, it's definitely almost no excuse. So shout out Ian Guerin for the question. What kinds of mindset does it take to do what you do every single day?
Oh, you definitely got to be a little crazy. This game, this game isn't for everybody. Really passion and love, for genuine love for the craft and for the art and the culture. And like I said, the people that aren't in it for those reasons to get weeded out. If you're only in it for money, you're going to get weeded out quick, because the money doesn't come for a long time. And even when it does, it's not great. And so I would just say the love and the passion for it is what's going to carry you through.
Did you ever find yourself in moments of time where you're just like, fuck, like, I don't know if I can do another day, like, I'm so tired, like, did you ever find yourself stuck in those ruts yourself?
Oh yeah, a lot. I remember during the Pay Dues campaign, we had set up a national tour, and we went on tour for 30 days, and this was
Wow.
our longest tour. The pretty much the biggest thing we had ever did, and I remember landing back in LAX with not a dollar to my name, and just kind of like, what am I gonna do? And like, it was funny because like our people picked us up, and they were like, all right, yeah, let's have a barbecue for you guys. And like, I remember stopping at the store, leaving LAX, like, dude, I can't buy anything. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I what am I gonna do? And luckily, like, our people were like, don't worry, we got it. And then it was like, all right, it's cool for tonight. But when I got home, and the next day, like, all my bills are due and it's back to regular life, it's like, what am I gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
how is this music? How I just did a 30-day tour around the country. Everybody's thinking like I'm on, but I don't have a dollar to my name, dude. Like,
That's brutal.
what's gonna happen? But I mean, I just stayed with it, and it just kind of figured itself out.
Yeah, no, like I think the true testament to that is like just keep fucking going. Like, and there's that part like are you spiritual? Do you practice faith? Because I feel like in like moments like that, it's kind of like, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, but I'm gonna let Jesus take the wheel and just kind of like, do you believe in that type of stuff?
I do now. At that time, I wasn't so. I would say I did, but not as much as I do now. And now I'm really like, I just let the universe take the wheel, and I'm just here. I'm just like, yo, take me where you want to take me.
What was that moment where you're just like, fuck it, like I'm giving it to God, like?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of had like I don't know if you call it like a spiritual awakening, or the day that I kind of got woke, and it was just kind of like my mind got opened up to the whole spiritual world of things, and a lot of things just started making more sense to me, and that was kind of when I started letting the universe take the wheel.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely attest to that. I think we all go through it. It's like we come from ego sometimes, or we think we can do it by ourselves. We don't need anyone. And that's probably like the loneliest, darkest times of my life. And I was like, man, no, like I do need to have this faith. I do need to have this tribe. I think tribe is very, very important. It's a reflection of who you are. It's important to have people around you who understand your goals, who understand you and hold you accountable and lovingly hold up that mirror to you to be like, yo, you need to take better care of yourself, or you need to do this, you're falling off, you're not following through. What difference did it make, or what were the kinds of people that you kept around you, or that you were just like, nope, I don't have time to invest my energy in this?
I feel just like surrounding yourself with people that have similar goals and similar interests, and that overall want to see you win. I've been around people that I thought wanted to see me win, but it's kind of like they just want to see themselves win through you, and they're not helping you, they're just helping you help them, and I just kind of just weeding those people out.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I feel like it's a game of chess. Like it's kind of like especially when you're investing in yourself so much and you're building so much, you have things to protect now, and you can't just let anybody into your circle. It's kind of like I have this philosophy of like, there's room for everybody at the table of success, but don't come with an empty plate and don't expect to eat off of somebody else. So it's everybody has to bring something to the table. And I think just tribe is insanely important. Who are some people that have been with you since day one?
I mean, just kind of the team. It hasn't really been a consistent thing, just because I've taken a couple different shapes, going from a group to a solo artist. So there's definitely times where I was in it by myself, but a couple of the people that have really helped push through, my video director Wacko, he's been there from the jump. He's definitely a big part of the 60s brand. My friend Phil the Pain, who does a lot of my production and recording and stuff like that, he's played a big part to everything. So I definitely wouldn't be anywhere without them. And this little girl right here.
Hi, gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a break dancer, huh?
Yeah. That's the break dancer.
That's dope. What was that transition like from group to solo artist? Was that a scary one?
It was just because I had spent so much time building up this brand and everybody kind of knew us as this group. And I wasn't sure how many people were going to continue to support me as a solo act that were supporting the group. So it was just kind of like, and just all the resources that came with it. Like when you're in a group and you release a project or something, you'll have the whole group tweeting it out and sharing it. Whereas if it's you by yourself, you're the only person promoting it, and it doesn't feel as good, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Did you feel like it was kind of a struggle that you had to kind of rebuild momentum, just like with your name?
I did. Luckily, a lot of the people did cross over, and a lot of the group. I mean, not that they didn't continue doing music, but they just, I guess, they weren't as consistent as me. So I was kind of like the majority of the wave kind of rode with me, and yeah, but it was definitely hard.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I remember when I first started my podcast, like I had my co-host, we kind of had like this breakfast club thing kind of happening, and every time that I tried to start something up with a group of people, it just like fell through, and I did everything I could to not do something by myself because I was just like terrified. So finally I was just like, okay, fine, fine. I'll just do it by myself. But yeah, no, I can attest to that. Like it's definitely different having a team and everyone's tweeting at the same time, and now it's by yourself and stuff like that. But with social media, it's definitely a lot easier. You can pay $30 for some ads and reach like a massive amount of people. But I did notice though that the one-to-one, the person-to-person contact and that networking probably got me more genuine followers than like my online networking did. And I was like, yeah, no, like I have to do that like one-on-one in person. And it's a lot faster because I try to do that Gary V thing that I don't know if you know who Gary V is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He has that book, Jab, Jab, Right Hook. So it's kind of like, don't just hit them with like, buy my shit. Just be like, how are you? How's your mama? Da, 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 da. Like, build that relationship. And I was like, yo, it takes so fucking long to do that online. But in
Yeah.
person, it's just like boom, 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 boom. So, no, yeah, that's really dope. Let's go ahead and close this out. Two more questions. What does bridging the gap mean to you, and how do you think you're bridging the gap with your music?
Bridging the gap. I guess it would depend on the context, but as far as me, um, I feel like I'm just speaking from a perspective that hasn't been spoken of before. I had a um, I had a fan recently tell me, I don't know if you know who Evidence is, but he's from Venice, and she had said that Evidence was her favorite rapper for the longest time until she discovered me, and she said that the reason why I started becoming her favorite artist was because she wasn't able to connect with uh, Evidence because he talks about being from Venice a lot, and she's not from Venice. So she's like, when I heard you guys kind of have a similar flow and style, but you're talking about where I'm from, and I'm able to relate to that a little bit
Mm.
more. So I would say and my music is bridging the gap for the people that are from where I'm from that don't have a voice representing them.
Very cool. That's very, very dope. Describe a day in the life of 60 East.
I wake up maybe like 5:30, shower, stuff like that. Some days I'll leave early just to go get like regular business out of the way. Other days I'll stay home and get my daughter ready for school, make sure she sees me before she leaves and stuff like that. Um, I'll go handle like regular job, regular life stuff throughout for most of the morning up until like 10 or 11, and then that's usually when I come clock into the studio. And
One more one more question. I'm gonna let you go. I know you've had a long day. I know you're tired. I really appreciate your time. But I definitely have followers who are artists and they have, kids as well. How do you balance, being a father and an artist with your status?
it's a growing process, and I'm still getting used to it. Luckily, My daughter's still young, but now she's fine. I've been touring since my daughter was born, but now she's finally at the age where she's like, "Where's my dad at?" And
Mm-hmm.
a couple of months ago, I did a festival in Ohio, and I had to leave for the weekend. And this was the first time where she called me like in tears, and she was like, "Daddy, I miss you. Like, I need you to come home." Blah blah. And like the next day, I came home, and then I picked her up from school, and she told me, um, she's like, "Daddy, I don't ever want you to go to Ohio again, just because I'm gonna miss you so much." And she's like, I was crying, and I told her that I was crying because I missed her so much, and it was just it really hurt. But I think I just because she's been around everything since she was born, I think she's gonna understand it when she's older. We're gonna see how it works out on this tour because this is gonna be the first tour that I go on, the longest tour that I go on with her being this age and conscious that I'm gonna be gone.
Sure.
I'm gonna try to work through it, but it's definitely hard, especially for people that are with their kids every day. For people that don't see their kids often, it might not be as hard. But yeah, I'm with my daughter every day, so being away from her every day is definitely gonna be a struggle. But
Yeah.
we're gonna try to make it work.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's real. I know there's a lot of musicians that, they're going after their dream and they have to figure out and make those decisions. And, I don't have kids, but I can only fucking imagine like, the
Yeah.
struggle between that. So, thank you for sharing that. Gonna go ahead and let you go. We're gonna wrap this up. Tell people where they can find you, what projects you're working on, where we can find your stuff, anything that you want to plug right now.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at 60 East, 60 East, on Twitter at 60 East 909. I got a project coming out produced in its entirety by Curtis King Beats.
Hey.
It's going to be super dope. That's going to be coming real soon. I'll be leaving on tour this Tuesday with Sky Zoo and Elzai, two of my heroes, two of the best to ever do it. We're going to be doing an East Coast run and then coming back to the West Coast. And yeah, so I'll be busy for the rest of the year dropping music and touring. So wherever you at, look up them dates. My website is 60east.net, SIXTYEAST.net. All my information is on there.
All right, then. That's what's up. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for your time.